BF for the Navy that are also supposed to come online. What about all those platforms? Does HAL have its plate full? You know, does HAL have the bandwidth to keep one more fighter aircraft program coming online? Does it have the bandwidth to do it? And finally, number 5, asking all these questions is fine, but will the cost-saving benefits be too good to resist? And will that finally be the game changer that persuades the Indian Air Force that this is something they should put their entire strength behind? So those are the big questions we're asking at this point of time. Now, I told you just a short moment ago that it has been an incredible week as far as Indian aviation is concerned. Just a few days ago, you had the Prime Minister in Bengaluru, near Bengaluru, as a matter of fact, unveiling the first light utility helicopter from HAL stable, designed, developed and built for the Indian Army. Now, this helicopter is going to be handed over to the Indian Army next week, and it is another reason to celebrate Indian military aviation this week. Take a look at what this helicopter is all about.
The view from a helicopter cockpit, flying between the world's highest landing grounds. The forbidding, desolate heights of the Siachen Glacier, where the air is thin, the temperatures well below zero, and where survival is a daily struggle. But the helicopter from which the video has been shot is not even in service yet. It's called the Light Utility Helicopter, developed by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. It is currently under a final phase of testing and certification by the Indian Army and Air Force. This indigenous helicopter, with a high rate of production planned, will be churned out from HAL's Bengaluru rotorcraft facility to replace in-service Chetak and Cheetah helicopters that form a crucial logistic element in India's high-altitude deployments. A requirement of nearly 200 of the LUH has been laid down, but a firm order has still not been placed. Continuing accidents and fatalities on the Cheetah and Chetak fleet has not added urgency to the LUH program. With a crew of 2 and capacity to carry 6 passengers, the LUH is purpose-built for high-altitude operations. The 2-ton light helicopter can be modified from a basic cargo utility chopper to being able to deliver small special forces teams to forward locations, to a mini air ambulance, or even a light gunship. Of a requirement of about 400 light military helicopters, this indigenous chopper will fulfill the need for half. The other half, theoretically, is to be met by the Russian K-8-226T. That is to be built by India and Russia jointly. But with the latter deal going nowhere, critics of arms imports believe it's time to pour all resources and precious budgets into the Indian LUH. Most importantly, it's an Indian machine, developed, designed and manufactured in India by Indian engineers. The military will never have to face spares issues with an Indian helicopter. The helicopter, a derivative of the in-service and venerable Dhruv helicopter, will also be easily upgradable and as per the military's future needs. All this creates a strong case for the LUH to be India's sole future light utility helicopter. Whether or not India can pull back from the Russian deal is another story and may have its own political compulsions. But the LUH has proven that it is mature, capable and nearly ready to meet the Indian military's crucial helicopter requirements. In the mountains and anywhere else they need to be deployed.
And we've got some breaking news coming in here on India Today. Post Pakistan's International Monetary Fund deal, 170 billion rupees in taxes are to be imposed on the beleaguered people of Pakistan who are already being crushed by economic misery. Hours after the International Monetary Fund issued a statement on its talks with Pakistan, Finance Minister Ishaq Dar said that the discussions with the global lender ended positively and the government will have to impose $170 billion of, I beg your pardon, 170 billion rupees, Pakistani rupees, in taxes through a mini budget in order to revive the loan program. 170 billion rupees in taxes on the Pakistani people at this time. You can only imagine how that's going to be received. The finance minister reminded that the program the incumbent government was implementing was the one signed by former Prime Minister Imran Khan with the IMF in 2019-2020. He reiterated that the Shehbaz Sharif-led government is holding talks to reach an agreement as a sovereign commitment. So, the incredible misery of a terror state with all its misplaced priorities, hit by the pandemic like everyone else, but also crippling floods last year. Pakistan is at a historic rock bottom low, and now in order to revive itself, Pakistan ironically needs to impose 170 billion rupee tax on its own people. That's what the IMF has stipulated. And coming up next, battered Turkey picks up the pieces. Over 21,000 killed in the deadly quakes. India Today reports from the epicenter. We'll take you straight there next for this exclusive report by Gaurav Sawant.
Over 3 decades, Business Today has delivered news, views and analysis like no other, chronicling India Inc.'s journey through time. Now, at 31 years, Business Today presents the future. Mission 2047, Road to India at 100, with Indian industry's biggest stalwarts and an exclusive interview with Google CEO Sundar Pichai.
हाय
Hi.
ये तो फुल लाइन मार रही है मुझ पे क्या बोल रही हाय
From wacky one-liners to some light-hearted cheesy dialogues,
वाला हाय था
looks like Ranbir Kapoor is all set to charm his way into his fans' hearts courtesy his new rom-com Tu Jhooti Main Makkar, the trailer of which went viral in no time.
लवेबल हम्बल रिस्पेक्टफुल रोमांटिक प्यारा
प्यारा और लवेबल सेम होता है
मैं दोनों हूँ हिंदी में भी
With healthy dose of intimacy, the film stays true to its name and also manages to stick to the genre. This Love Ranjan directorial also stars Shraddha Kapoor, making it her first collaboration with the filmmaker as well as Ranbir Kapoor.
ना एकदम अच्छी ड्राइव में मजे करेंगे
गाड़ी खराब हो गई और होटल में सिर्फ एक कमरा हो तो मैं जमीन पे नहीं सोऊंगा
तू बिस्तर पे सो जाना मैं जमीन पे सो जाऊंगा
Ahead of the trailer launch, the star cast, including Ranbir Kapoor, Shraddha Kapoor, and filmmaker Love Ranjan, was seen posing for the cameras. During the same, Ranbir was also seen adding a piece of heart to the puzzle.
किसी मासूम के दिल से खेलने का नतीजा क्या होता है
Tu Jhooti Main Makkar is all set to roll out in cinemas on March 8th.
खेलते हैं
Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
कदर ही नहीं रह गई दुनिया में प्यार की मेरा तो दिल कर रहा है कूद के मर जाऊं इतने फ्रिवलेस हो चुके हैं लोग छी
India has sent 3 teams of NDRF, that is the National Disaster Response Force, for search and rescue operations in quake-hit Turkey. India Today's Gaurav Savant caught up with one team in Turkey's Nuradgi, one of the worst affected zones. He sent us this report.
Rescue operations continue in Turkey, and at Nuradgi with us is Tomris. Tomris, what can you tell us about the operations that are happening here?
Actually, also our Turkish people are very sadness because nearly 10 cities the actually hide and seek. So we are very sad, and thank you for Turkish people, Indian people, because we are helping for me. And this place is the you see very bad, and nearly 20,000 died people in Turkey earthquakes. So very sadness, and thank you for all helping all world, and extra Indian people is thank you.
And coming up next, one of the most anticipated military interviews of the season. He's India's most viral army veteran. Lieutenant General KJS Tiny Dillon is a social media star. He's got a big book coming out and he's been going viral. We'll tell you all about it in this huge, uncensored military interview coming up next.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Public health. All political parties traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories from every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
And we're taking you straight to Mumbai for images coming in live of Prime Minister Modi interacting with the Bohri community, inaugurating the education campus of the Dawoodi Bohra community. These are live images coming in. The Prime Minister was there to flag off the latest Vande Bharat train. And here is the Prime Minister with the Bohri community in Mumbai. He has just inaugurated a brand new education campus of the Dawoodi Bohra community as well. Let's listen in.
अरबी एकेडमी का चौथा कैंपस और प्रधानमंत्री बोहरा समुदाय के सर्वोच्च नेता सैयदना मुफद्दल सैफुद्दीन के साथ मिलते हुए उनसे बातचीत करते हुए बेहद आत्मीय ये दृश्य जब प्रधानमंत्री बोहरा समुदाय के सर्वोच्च नेता के साथ मिले। प्रधानमंत्री ने इस परिसर का निरीक्षण भी किया और वहां पर गणमान्य लोगों के साथ प्रधानमंत्री ने बातचीत भी की और ये दृश्य उस वक्त के हैं जब बोहरा समुदाय के सर्वोच्च नेता सैयदना मुफद्दल सैफुद्दीन के साथ प्रधानमंत्री ने मुलाकात की। बेहद आत्मीय ये दृश्य दिखाई दे रहे हैं। ये भव्य संस्थान अल जामिया सैफिया अरबी अकादमी का चौथा कैंपस है। प्रधानमंत्री ने आज इस नए परिसर का उद्घाटन किया।
Inaugurating the Mumbai campus of the Al Jamiatus Safia Arabic Academy located in Andheri's Marol area. Sayyidna Mufaddal Saifuddin, the 53rd Aldai al-Mutlaq and head of the Dawoodi Bohra community, is the man you see there with the Prime Minister hosting him and escorting him. This will be the fourth campus, also known as Jamia, that is being inaugurated in this fashion. Let's go straight across to India Today's Mustafa Sheikh for more. Mustafa, the inauguration of this Dawoodi Bohra community's education campus. Give us the significance of these images that we're bringing in live, Mustafa.
Well, this campus is of an Arabic university belonging to Dawoodi Bohra community, and it is in Marol, Andheri East area. It's a huge campus which has been inaugurated with students and teachers, facilities and recognition by the government. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is known to have close ties with this particular Bohra community, and he shares a long history since the time he was Chief Minister of Gujarat. He has chaired and attended many of the events of this community, and hence this is an important day for the community that Prime Minister himself has come for this inauguration, and you can see that there are a large number the people from the community are present, and he was welcomed with a band, a traditional band which was played by this community while he was entering that university. And this inauguration of this university will be important and will have advantages for the Bohri community and their future education. Back to you.
Okay, Mustafa, thanks very much. Great images there. The Prime Minister just wrapping up that visit with the Dawoodi Bohra community, inaugurating that very, very symbolic as well. Thanks. We will continue to bring you these images through the day today. Stay with us. He is perhaps India's most popular soldier general. He was the corps commander in charge of Kashmir, including the Kashmir Valley, when the Pulwama terror attack happened. And his memoir is now one of the most anticipated books that's about to be published. It's called Kitne Ghazi Aaye, Kitne Ghazi Gaye. And Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon, better known as Tiny Dhillon, to all his millions of admirers in India around the world, is here with us for that first detailed interview ahead of the publication of his book, as well as to talk about some of the big things facing us as a nation today. General Dhillon, always a pleasure. Good to see you here on India Today. Thank you for your time, sir. First of all, congratulations on your upcoming book. We're all looking forward to it very greatly. But I want to start with something that is not only your passion, but something that the entire country is seeing right now, sir, which is the Turkey earthquake And once again, it is the Indian Army that is helping over there. In the common Indian's mind, there is a perception that no matter what the problem, the Indian Army is called in to help. What is it about the Indian Army, sir? You know, having led large numbers of men and women over your career, what is it about the Indian Army that they have such an amazing reputation, not just here in India, but also abroad in the worst situations?
Thank you, Shiv. And first of all, good day to all our viewers. Indian Army, the ethos, the culture, the upbringing, the mentoring, the training, the chiseling, I can continue saying these words, is something which is beyond explainable words. It's a phenomenon. I served Indian Army, if I include my NDA and IMA training, 43 years. Never in these 43 years I ever had this feeling that job can take a second seat. I written in the book which you mentioned, I was not home when both my children were born. I was not there when they went to school, when they did their schooling, completed their schooling, when they went to professional colleges. So Indian Army का एक जज्बा ही अलग है, जो एहसास है ना, and they are a very people-friendly army. Even in situations in Northeast and in Kashmir, you covered them so extensively. The people there, in spite of all the propaganda, they say, "Sab army ki post nazdeek laga do." They feel very secure, they feel very safe when there is an army close by. And then again, we are an army of India. India is a very diverse nation. We are a very diverse army. We do our job properly, and you talked about Turkey. In spite of whatever the diplomacy or whatever the states have been doing in the past, when there was a job to do, the humanitarian aid, Turkish citizens have to be saved, Indian Army contingent, the medic.
And the army was off.
Yes.
Instantly. There was no time wasted at all.
Yes, I tweeted about it. I said, Indian government decides, ADGPI is moving. So this is how it works. And a nation of our size, the army of our size, the military might, we have to be prepared for all contingencies at all times. Only country in the world with 2 nuclear neighbors and both not very friendly to you. So we have to keep our powder dry all the while, and out of area contingencies, humanitarian aid contingencies, any counter-terrorist contingency or local, sub-conventional convention. We need to be every time ready for everything.
How much energy does it take, General, to keep the powder dry at all times? You know, bahar se to it looks very easy. You have to be ready at all times. But there must be a cost and an energy expenditure to constantly be combat ready, constantly be prepared to fly at a moment's notice, no matter where the problem is in the world.
See, Indian Defence Forces, Army, Navy, Air Force all together, as also the paramilitary forces, maybe ITBP, BSF, CRPF, who are supporting the defence forces during peace as well as during war. They have to be ready all the time for all the contingencies, like I said earlier, and keeping the powder dry is easier said than done. They are very specialist weapon systems, they are very specialist ammunitions. Those ammunitions have shelf lives. Those ammunitions have storage requirements of maintenance of particular temperatures. Those ammunitions have problems of carriage. You cannot carry them in a particular type of a transport system. Those ammunitions will have to be replenished. They have to be turned over. Their life has to be checked every now and then. So it's a very complicated and complex system which various wings of the army, same is true for Navy and Air Force, who are continuously on the job, keeping your men in shape, keeping your fleet in shape, keeping your heavy equipment in shape, keeping your ammunition ready and replenished, and obsolete ammunition disposal. It happens in a very, very complex but in a very synthesized manner. And it's a major operation. I'm sure you are aware of it. But our countrymen, I think it's enough to say there's a lot which goes into it.
And you know, the work speaks for itself. Nobody needs to, shout about it. The fact is the army quietly does its work, and that's the most amazing thing about it. General, now coming to a topic that's very close to you, but have been one of the most troubling episodes in our country, which is the Pulwama terror attack. Your book comes out on the 4th anniversary of the Pulwama terror attack. reading your book, one comes to know that you had just taken over the Chinar Corps in Srinagar when the terror attack had happened. So in more ways than one, the Pulwama terror attack was your trial by fire. You were thrust straight into a nightmare as soon as you had taken charge. You had experience in Kashmir, but this was probably the maximum level trial by fire that could happen. Take us through what happened that day, sir. Like, you were there, just 4 days old in that position. What happened?
Like you said, I took over the responsibility or the command of Chinar Corps on 10th of February 2019. I had multiple tenures earlier.
Yes.
I've been there since Captain Days of 1988. I've seen 19th of January.
So you're familiar with Kashmir?
1990 and everything. I've seen Kashmiri Pandit Exodus. I've seen a number of operations before that. And 10th of February I take over. 14th February, an attack of the magnitude of where we lost 40 brave hearts of CRPF. This type of attack had not happened in Kashmir terrorism history earlier with so much of damage. Yes, it took time for us to understand the magnitude of the damage.
Yes.
But there was no time to be lost. We got down to work straight away.
Immediately.
We immediately, like I'll give you a small anecdote, I written in the book also. When I was traveling for a meeting, my ADC, Captain Sandeep Singh, naturally young officer, he was also following up the thing. This is 14th February evening. And he asked me in the vehicle, he said, sir, ab kya hoga? Again, pardon my language, I said, we will get the bastards. Now that is the time we need to recompose ourselves, get our composure together, get our act together, and then we got down to it. Within 48 hours, we got the intelligence, we struck, and less than 100 hours, we eliminated that module. The commander of that module was the code word Ghazi Kamran. And this is how Kitne Ghazi aaye.
Of your book, and everyone remembers that, that press conference as well. It must have been a source of amazing pride to take over the Kashmir Corps after having served in Kashmir. It's such a beautiful place, and I'm sure you would join me in recommending to all those watching that they must go and spend some time in Kashmir. It's a part of our great country, lovely, lovely place. But being there as a soldier is a different experience altogether, sir, because there you are not. There it's not a holiday, it's not a picnic. Any day could be your last. So I want to know, since having served on the frontiers and the line of control, high altitude areas, etc. Death is always possibly around just the corner. You've touched upon some of the instances in your book. I want to know from you, what is your most telling memory of a close brush where you thought this is it, this is the end now?
This happened...
the reason I'm asking is because most young people want to know that from those who've served.
See, this happened, although I had more tenures in Kashmir, I had number of encounters in Kashmir where I was personally involved. But this particular incident which you are referring to, the closest brush, happened in Manipur.
Right.
I was posted as a major in Rashtra Rifles in Manipur. And this was July of 2000, July of 98. July of 98. And we got information at 11 in the night that in a particular village there are 40 insurgents with the machine guns and all. Right. My commanding officer gave this information and he also told me, Tani, lagta nahi hai sahi hai. This is too huge a number. I said, no sir, this particular village is a known place. It has acted as a training camp for the terrorist insurgents earlier. So this information is correct. It was on a pinnacle of a hillock. So I said, I will hit with a small team of 10 people. I will hit the village. The insurgents will run down. So we'll have strong ambushes at the base. Right. And I put 20 men each at 4-5 places. And I, with a small team, hit that village. It was raining the whole night. We walked for 4 hours. And early morning, as you are aware, in northeast, the sun rises early.
Yes.
It was around 4:35 and sun was just coming out. And as I was approaching the village, from the top, this insurgent opened up with a machine gun and a grenade launcher.
While you were climbing up?
While I was climbing up, and I looked into his eyes, he looked into my eyes. It was just for 30-40 meters. And these bullets were not hitting me. There's something called plunging fire.
Right.
When you fire downhill, the gravity takes the bullets away from the point of aim.
Right.
I explained this in this.
Yes.
And imagine, you are looking into his eyes, he's looking into your eyes, and he's firing at you, and you are not getting hit.
Right.
And that is when I called for the 2-inch motor, because I knew I also won't be able to hit him, in spite of having
Because he has the advantage.
He has the advantage. So we got the 2-inch motor. Naik Krishipal, he ran up to me, and we then fired, and then that operation continued for 3 days. And again, I had close brushes in that operation. But beautiful thing is, next day morning, we were out of communication the whole day.
Yeah.
Next day, we were chasing this terrorist, and next day, I got into a place where I could communicate. So first thing, my headquarters was asking, is everything okay? Is everything okay? So I said, after giving the report, I told them, I said, there's a boy whose wife is in hospital. Please check and let me know what is the condition. So this is how we, and then second thing was, I said, my wife's birthday is coming after a few days. I may or may not return, please wish her. So this is keeping your senses alive, keeping a human angle, humanitarian aspects of soldier.
This is the humanitarian aspect of the soldier is another thing that is, very commonly portrayed in the public sphere. The buddy system, soldiers together, camaraderie in the forces. But most people, they see it, they applaud it, general. But I don't think people understand it as a soldier and a general can. Explain that to us. The capacity of people like you to put your life in your soldier's hands, your soldier to put his life in your hands. How does that work? And explain that with a situation where, two men or a group of men have actually realized that my life is in another person's hands.
Shiv, it is like this. Soldier, by appearance, looks a very tough man, very burly face, twirling mustaches, and big smart gun. But inside, he is a very, very nice, simple human being. He has a family, he has his fears, he has his parents, he has his children, everyone. We come from we come from the same society. But there comes a time when we leave apart all these things, and then we only look at our job at hand. And coming to buddy system. And buddy system is, there are 10 boys in a bunker. One man or a buddy pair is standing guard outside, one on the, say, northern side, one on the western side. It's breezy, it's snowing, it's chillingly cold. Now this man is giving the duty. Something called imandari, wafadari, zimmedari.
Right.
Imandari and wafadari we all understand. Zimmedari is something with which this man is standing guard. 10 people are sleeping inside. And he is zimmedar for the safety of these 10 men.
No compromise.
No compromise. And why no compromise? Now he is standing there, if enemy fires or terrorist fire, he will save these 10 men. But after 2 hours, he will go inside and sleep. Somebody else will come out and stand guard. And फिर उसकी जिम्मेदारी है. So zimmedari is in our DNA. We can never let down our buddy, because it is not that we are letting down. It is next moment he may be letting you down. So it is an unwritten law. Nobody leaves the buddy. We don't even leave our dead behind. So those are ethos of Indian Army.
This is something that's captured quite often in movies as well, sir. In India, we've seen movies about the armed forces quite a bit from many, many years, and I'm sure you've seen many of them as well. How does a soldier like you feel when you see the movies? Because the movies capture the glamorous aspect of it, the patriotic aspect of it, but like you said, it's not a cakewalk. It's not all hunky-dory in the armed forces. Yes, there's a great deal of nobility and pride and, and patriotism, but an overwhelming part of it is difficult. There's a great deal of drudgery. There's a great deal of mental stress, anxiety. How do you feel when you watch the movies? Do you feel like they should portray more about the reality of the armed forces, sir?
Movies in India.
I'm not saying that they're wrong, but a more realistic portrayal.
Movies in India, especially the war movies, the military movies, if I may call it. Earlier, if you remember in our childhood, there used to be this Colonel Saab with handlebar mustache, carrying a 12-bore gun, and maar dunga, kat dunga. That is not the way a soldier is. Soldiering is a very, very serious business. And the movie making has to be done very seriously. We can't have, a soldier running around the trees and singing songs. No, he has his lighter moments. He has his enjoyable moments. Those can be captured. But when you can't have a 23-year-old person wearing Lieutenant General's ranks. Doesn't happen.
Embarrassing errors are always
embarrassing.
there.
And then the uniform is wrong. You're wearing a beret of a different wing of the army. You're wearing the shoulder titles. And so research work which has to go. Serious research work. Fortunately, lot has improved in last few years. Having said that, Still, a lot needs to go into the research work and the serious research work. I understand there are commercial constraints. But then if you're making a war movie, you're making a war movie.
Correct.
You can't be singing songs during the war.
The subject matter is too serious. For any kind of compromise. I understand that. General Dhillon, as many admirers of General Dhillon will know, he has embraced social media in a very, very open manner. He talks to his audience. He's constantly answering their questions. He's always says thank you to compliments from no matter where they come from. And I'm guessing you get them all day, sir. But social media is also a very serious business. And you've seen the flip side of social media as the Kashmir commander, I'm sure. So I wanted to know about your experience with that, because we've seen how terror groups have used social media for recruitment, for propaganda, for their own sinister purposes, especially in the Kashmir Valley, sir. How did you handle all of that? Because your understanding of social media is amazing. So how did you handle the flip side of social media by terror groups?
Pakistan has a narrative, has a propaganda. And he uses social media to spread that propaganda and spread that narrative. If we do not portray our part or our point of view, and most importantly, in a transparent manner, in an ethical manner, in a truthful manner. There is no bigger propaganda than being truthful. There is no bigger propaganda than being transparent. Because finally the lies will come out. There was a Prime Minister of Pakistan who tweeted the wrong photographs.
Correct.
So he got caught. But if you are truthful, and my point when managing social media is managing of perceptions of young minds. If I am not honest in my social media content, if I'm not transparent, if I don't respond to questions. But only thing I always tell, yesterday also I tweeted, I said we can discuss, let's not argue. Let's not be abusive. We can convey your point of view very firmly without being abusive. I have seen on social media friends of years are blocking each other. So social media, by definition, media is a platform or a sort of a medium given to you to interact socially. So it's a social interaction platform.
But did it ever pose a challenge for you, sir? Did you ever think that, how does one tackle this challenge where you have, inimical elements, anti-national elements, terror groups, using these same platforms that are otherwise beneficial to society to go against the country, go against the army? How big a challenge was that?
Yeah, it's a challenge because Pakistan social media management or the perception management or the narrative building, they do it in a very, very systematic manner.
Absolutely.
To counter it, you have to pick up their content, you have to say this is wrong, and you have to counter them with facts. Making a mere statement that this video by Pakistan is a propaganda will not help. It will probably also have doubt on your credibility. But if I give the corroboration, if I give the origin of that video, and if I give why this video is not what it is being portrayed, then my credibility goes up. So it is not important to, sort of give a rebuttal immediately. You must counter it with facts, figures. Like some small thing like when did the terrorism begin in Kashmir? In my book I written, I said 19th January 1990 was a date. A very serious date, very black day. But the terrorism started much earlier. People are not ready to talk about it because it doesn't suit their constituency.
And there are so many narratives.
There are so many narratives. Narratives within narratives.
And speaking of narratives, sir, I know for a fact that soldier generals like General Dhillon like to keep away from politics. So I'm not going to touch upon politics at all. But to frame my question, I'd like to say that there has been a lot of politics over how safe is Kashmir right now. Recently, we saw the Bharat Jodo Yatra over there. Then we saw a huge tutu meme happen in Parliament where one side said, we went there, it's not safe. The other side said, you walked there, it's totally safe. You proved our point. My personal sense is that the common average Indian would more readily believe a soldier who has served there than anyone else, perhaps. So I want your view, sir, of what Kashmir is like right now, especially after the abrogation of Article 370 and especially at now, because I'm sure you visited recently as well. How much has it changed? How safe is it? What is the status?
Shiv, again, I will base my argument or my logic on facts and figures. There are indices which will give you what is the level of terrorism. Firstly, how many terrorist initiated incidents are happening? how many local boys are joining the terrorist team, how many actions of terrorists and the civilians are getting killed, how many security forces personnel are getting killed, how much infiltration is happening. So all these indices combined together are pointers about the situation. Then tourism, how many tourists are coming in, hotel bookings, all these are the indices. And I dare say all these indices are down. Compared to any time, year on year or a quarter on quarter.
Tourism is up, but everything else is
down. Yeah, I'm saying you can weight it the way you want it. So every index is in the favor of peace. So I will not make a statement without facts. They are verifiable facts.
So you're saying we don't need to be subjective. The data.
Yeah, data proves. Data speaks. The data speaks for itself. So Kashmir is a much safer and peaceful place. As compared to any time prior to today. You can have a year on year, or like I said, quarter on quarter, whatever. And it is improving further. And why it is improving is very important. The common Kashmiri, the Awam, they have tasted the dividends of peace. When the tourism goes up, when the peace goes up, when the shop is open till 8 o'clock, he's earning more, he's got more job creation, schools are open, children are getting educated. There is a better prospect for the future children, the future of children. So when he tasted all these dividends of peace, now he doesn't want to go back to the black days. So it is the yearning of the local Kashmiri which is forcing even Pakistan to stop this nonsense.
Absolutely.
And that is why Kashmir's peace journey is now irrevocable.
It's irrevocable, yes, absolutely. But things are still sensitive, and I hope that things don't move into a reverse gear. Believe me when I say that Kashmir is one of the most beautiful places, not just in India, but the world. And I encourage our viewers to plan your holidays there. Don't constantly think about going abroad. Go and spend a winter in Kashmir. You will be thanking me, trust me. My final question to you, to come back once again to Kashmir, General, and once again to something that you've spoken about in your book, is Pulwama. And sadly, most often the Indian public hears about Kashmir when soldiers or officers are killed in action in an encounter, like Pulwama or any other terror attack or encounter. That's when it happens. You, as a corps commander, have had to make those difficult phone calls, even previously, to families of men under your charge who may have lost their lives in operations. I want to know about that, sir. How difficult is that? Because you have to break the news to either a wife, next of kin, parents, who might not be very old, about losing their loved one. Tell us about that process. How difficult is that?
Most difficult job in a commander's service career is to salute your comrades for the one last time and lay the wreath. This particular press conference and this photograph on the cover of the book happened after I had laid the wreath on the mortal remains of Major Vibhuti Dondiyal and the soldiers who got killed in action during the Pinglana operation, where we eliminated Ghazi. Straight from the war memorial, I came to the press conference. And a lot of people say there is a lot of anger in your eyes. It is not without reason. So, coming back to your question, most difficult job in a commander's life is to pay the homage or lay the wreath. And again, the most difficult thing is to call up someone and say, I'm sorry to inform you, this is what happened to your son. And here I would like to say, our wives, army parents, they are the strongest people on this planet.
True.
My wife has heard my death news or seen my death news on the TV twice. I mentioned once when she was 8 months pregnant.
Yes, I remember that.
But she held herself together for the same wafadari, imandari, zimmedari, wafadari. She did not want to show herself as a shattered person. So our families are also very strong, and somewhere at the back of their mind, every time the phone rings, the heartbeat goes up.
Absolutely.
And they are expecting probably the worst news, especially ones who are posted in such areas. But they hold the fort together so the soldier can do his duty without having to look back or be bothered about his home front. So I think we have a wonderful companionship here, and every soldier I can talk about.
On that, very sobering note, and a reminder to all of us as citizens is, perhaps to, make a country that's worth protecting. It's not a proverb or a cliche, because, we cannot, unfortunately, meet all of our soldiers and thank them personally, but we can be good Indian citizens and make a country that's worth protecting. And as the General said, military families are truly made of something else. So our salute, not just to soldiers and generals, but also to those families. And what better tribute could there be to those who were lost in Pulwama and other terror attacks than a book that pays tribute as well as remembers and talks about everything and has a forward-looking perspective on how the country has changed, is changing, and will be changing in the days ahead. General Dhillon, thank you very much. A pleasure and an honor. Thank you for speaking to India Today.
Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Indian couturier Gaurav Gupta had quite a moment at the Paris Couture Week. We saw Cardi B don a piece from that collection at the Grammys. Cardi B wore an electric blue custom-made Gaurav Gupta couture, and that image has gone viral. Vivianism was the order of the day at the latest Marc Jacobs fashion show, a true ode to the late Vivienne Westwood. The Marc Jacobs fashion show took place at Park Avenue Armory. The fall 2023 collection had upside-down jackets, punk gestures, and was titled Heroes. The show notes had quotes by Westwood. The models walked in from pitch darkness to light, to the tune of violins. The clothes were wacky, they were voluminous to a very large extent, quite literally, with a utilitarian twist. Abstract expressionism was evident with dramatic shadowing. Netizens were left wondering if a ghost appeared at the fashion showcase. But on a more serious note, the pieces were quite the statement ones, inducing with a high tribute to the late Vivienne Westwood. The other viral moment came from Copenhagen Fashion Week, where a model dragged a tablecloth with her. While it was mostly meant for shock value, the job was done. It was designers Nana and Simon Wigg's presentation of their Autumn-Winter 2023 collection. You had Sarah Dahl, who was Simon Wigg's partner, who sat unassumingly on a table that had candles, plates of food half-eaten, and stained linens. And then, much to everyone's surprise, she just got up and started walking, taking all the dinner utensils with her as a part of her dress that was actually the tablecloth. Lifestyle Bureau, India Today.